I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com, and the one that I got today is called, it's about the new forced Facebook policy that will be enforced on January 1st, and it's a really interesting policy. It's a little bit different from what we've seen in the past. You know, ever since the 9/11 attacks, the Patriot Act was put into place, and we've essentially just lost all of our privacy. You know, any kind of privacy we have on our phones. You know, I've done reports where I've shown you on my personal Android, Samsung right here, that it says that the NSA is spying and collecting data. The iPhone as well, they have that in their terms and services as well. And now the issue is, are they going to start saying that the CIA, the FBI, these guys are going to be considered third parties? Because what it does now is it says that third parties will have access to your information. Now what it says is, it says we'll collect information from or about the computers, phones, or other devices where you install or access our services. So say you have Facebook and you download the app on your phone. Now you've given them access to your phone, your contacts, your locations, where you're at, because you have that location button on. It'll let them know your exact location, where you're at. Any kind of pictures, whatever you think that you might have that's near and dear and private to you, once you click yes, accept to that Facebook terms and services and conditions, you're now giving them the ability to go through your phone. And on your computer, once you open that device up, or once you open that website up, I should say, and go to Facebook.com, on January 1st is going to say, click yes or no, do you accept these new terms and services? I challenge you to read those and find out what they say, because it says, such as the operating system, hardware version, device settings, file and software names, types, battery, signal strength, and device identifiers. So it's going to, when you get on your computer, it's going to say what kind of operating system you're on, what hardware you have, the device settings, file, software names you have, your battery, your signal strength on your phone, device locations, including specific geographic locations through your GPS, your Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi, connection information such as the name of your mobile operator, or the ISP, the browser type, language and time zone, mobile phone number, and IP address. This is what Facebook is doing now. This is no longer a place for friends. This is a place for the NSA, the government, to spy on every single thing you do. I mean, this is what I want to challenge everyone. Is Facebook, talking to your friends on here, is it really worth giving up all your privacy? It's really making me question whether or not I should even keep Facebook. I think I might even go in and delete it today. I mean, we shouldn't have to go through something like this just because, you know, Facebook at the beginning, yeah, I like to use it to talk to a lot of my old military buddies, keep in touch with people I don't get to see on a day-to-day basis, see how their kids are doing. But at the end of the day, really, is it worth having all my information that I have on here going out to the NSA, to government agencies, you know, all these different alphabet agencies? Because we know the CIA works with Facebook, Google, all these guys. We're giving away precious information that's personal to us. You know, something that you might share with someone that you haven't seen in a long time, or a private message that you send to somebody that you think it's just for you. Now that you've used Facebook on your phone, you've given that up to the government to use and to do whatever they want to with. You know, we know that they are arresting people based off habits and things like that. What if you look at something and the next thing you know, you get red flagged and you're on the no-fly list? So really think about it, and it's something I challenge everyone. Is Facebook really important enough for you? Do you feel comfortable giving all that information to people you don't know, these different intelligence agencies back in Washington and Virginia, wherever they're at? Do you feel comfortable doing that? So I challenge you guys here, all the InfoWars people who watch this right now, share this and get this out there, because it says we collect information when you visit or use third-party websites, information about websites and apps you visit. Every time you go and you look at a website now, once you've accepted Facebook, that information, whatever deep dark secrets you think you might have, or things that you look at on the internet, it's out there. So think about that, and I challenge you guys, like I said, to take a look and maybe just, you know, scrap it. I just don't know if it's not even that important. So continue watching our reports I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com.
Did you hear about this? Is Facebook playing another big brother? Some users are saying the social media site is really crossing the line with their new Messenger app.
Right. So joining us now is tech expert Anthony Mongaluzzo. Anthony, thanks for joining us. So many people are talking about this Messenger app. It used to be optional, but now it's going to be mandatory, I guess, if you download, you have to download it. So how does it all work, and why are people all worried about this?
Right. What the Messenger app basically does is you have to give away all of your privacy. You allow Facebook to look at your call list, your contacts, your text messages. It can even use your recording device and your camera device on your phone without even telling you.
Okay, that's the thing that scared me the most. Take me through that. I'm holding my phone right now.
Yep.
And if I have this Messenger app, they can see what I see, or even worse, spy on me with what I'm doing?
Hey, most of your phones nowadays have two cameras, the front camera and the back camera. So legally, you are giving them access to those cameras when you install this application.
So some creepy guy in the San Francisco Bay Area at some place in Facebook can be looking live at what I'm looking at?
I was going to say, don't even worry about San Francisco. Facebook is global. Around the world, they could look at you.
And Anthony, the big concern is that people are going to download it because they want it on their phone so they can message friends on their phone, and they're not even going to really realize that they're giving up their privacy for this.
Most people just click yes when it comes in, and the thing that's crazy to me is you already have text messaging. You could send pictures. Why do we need a Facebook messaging app when there's so many other ways to communicate?
Well, we know what they're doing. These big social media sites, including Yahoo and Google, they want customer information because that's how they monetize things, by selling your personal information to advertisers to target you as a buyer.
Exactly. They're going to, and again, they're going to know who you call, what text messages you say, what products you're talking about. For instance, I text you and say, hey, I want the new Nike Fitband. Well, then guess what? Facebook is going to start popping up some Nike Fitbands on my phone.
Anthony, is this just only on your phone, though? It's not on your computer. Is that right?
Well, the terms of service of Facebook are similar. So technically, if you have a recording device on your computer or any other devices that you're giving them access to, then absolutely. So the terms of service really govern our relationship with Facebook.
So it sounds like we don't want this Messenger app at all. Chris and I were just talking about it. Sue Serio said
Facebook at all.
She downloaded it and then she realized and then got rid of it. Is she okay if now that she took it off?
Good point.
Yeah, once you take it off, you're fine. And the interesting thing is, this is going to drive people to other messaging applications such as WhatsApp app. And oh my goodness, guess who owns that?
Facebook just bought them.
Exactly.
Well, it was like for $2 billion or something ridiculous.
It was a little bit more than I have in my pocket. Yeah, it was up there.
So do you think this is going to drive people off of Facebook altogether?
It could. I mean, a lot of people are removing it once they're doing it. And at the end of the day, we are the consumers, so we need to vote. If we download and run the app, we're voting for Facebook. If we don't, Facebook is going to have to make changes or they're going to make less money.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think this just goes too far.
Facebook in particular is the most appalling spying machine that has ever been invented. Here we have the world's most comprehensive database about people, their relationships, their names, their addresses, their locations, their communications with each other, their relatives, all sitting within the United States, all accessible to US intelligence. Facebook, Google, Yahoo, all these major US organizations have built-in interfaces for US intelligence.
Why would they be doing it? There is no crime there.
It seems that the public is divided between those who think that the government surveillance program violates their civil liberties and those who say, I have nothing to hide, so why should I care? What do you say to those who think that shouldn't concern them?
The problem is, if they think they're not doing anything that's wrong, they don't get to define it. The central government does. The central government defines what is right and wrong and whether or not they target you. So it's not up to the individual, even if they think they're doing something wrong. If their position on something is against what the administration has, then they could easily become a target.
President Obama today proposed something new, something called prolonged detention. Doesn't sound that bad, right? Prolonged detention. Did you ever see the movie Minority Report? It was based on a Philip K. Dick short story. Came out in 2002. It starred Tom Cruise, remember? He played a police officer in something called the Department of Pre-Crime. Pre-crime is where people are arrested and incarcerated to prevent crimes that they have not yet committed.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubonnet. Take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours and 4 minutes. No, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna. Future murder. Creepy, right? Putting somebody in jail not for what they've done, but for what you're very sure they're going to do?
There may be a number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
We're not prosecuting them for past crimes, but we need to keep them in prison because of our expectation of their future crimes.
Al-Qaeda terrorists and their affiliates are at war with the United States, and those that we capture, like other prisoners of war, must be prevented from attacking us again.
Prevented. We will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration. Indefinite detention without trial. That's what this is. That's what President Obama proposed today, if you strip away the euphemisms. One civil liberties advocate told the New York Times today, quote, "We've known this was on the horizon for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning." And it is stunning, particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment. It's particularly stunning to hear him make that claim in the middle of a speech that was all about the rule of law.
But we must do so with an abiding confidence in the rule of law. Our government was defending positions that undermine the rule of law to ensure that they are in line with the rule of law.
How can a president speak the kind of poetry that President Obama does about the rule of law and call for the power to indefinitely, preventively imprison people because they might commit crimes in the future? How can those two things coexist in the same man, even in the same speech? Well, that brings us to the self-consciously awkward, embarrassing part of this speech today. After condemning the Bush administration for what he called their ad hoc legal strategy for trying to make things seem legal that patently weren't, this is what President Obama proposed.
My administration has begun to reshape the standards that apply to ensure that they are in line with the rule of law. We must have clear, defensible, and lawful standards for those who fall into this category. We must have a thorough process of periodic review so that any prolonged detention is carefully evaluated and justified. Our goal is to construct a legitimate legal framework for the remaining Guantanamo detainees that cannot be transferred. Our goal is not to avoid a legitimate legal framework. In our constitutional system, prolonged detention should not be the decision of any one man. If and when we determine that the United States must hold individuals to keep them from carrying out an act of war, we will do so within a system that involves judicial and congressional oversight. And so going forward, my administration will work with Congress to develop an appropriate legal regime so that our efforts are consistent with our values and our Constitution.
You'll construct a legal regime to make indefinite detention legal. You will, what does he say? Develop an appropriate legal regime. So you can construct a whole new system outside the courts, even outside the military commissions, so that you can indefinitely imprison people without charges. And you'll build that system from scratch.
Well, there's new outrage after a former Marine is arrested and involuntarily detained in a psychiatric ward for posting some anti-government messages on Facebook. Several civil rights groups in Virginia are now saying that the police violated the First Amendment rights of this 26-year-old veteran. According to the police, he posted the following message earlier this month: "Sharpen my axe. I'm here to sever heads."
We have an update now on the 19-year-old man in jail for a Facebook post about shooting up a school. Justin Carter says it was a joke. No one disagrees that it was a terrible joke, but police say it was a terroristic threat. This morning, his attorney says a July 16th bond hearing has been set. CNN's Miguel Marquez has more on that.
I just want my kid back. He's my best friend, and I miss him so much.
Jack Carter devastated his teenage son behind bars for months, facing up to 10 years in prison.
Well, the other big story today has been the shock and outrage across India over the arrest of two young girls after one of them posted on Facebook questioning why Mumbai had shut down after Bal Thackeray's death. Her friend liked that post and was arrested as well. Bizarrely, both of them were taken into custody for inciting hatred. The arrests came after a local Shiv Sena leader filed a complaint. Suspected Shiv Sainiks also vandalized a clinic run by the uncle of one of the girls, and while cases have been registered against them as well, so far none of the vandals have been arrested. And so we ask whether we've become a democracy. What is going on in this country? More and more incidents where free speech has been targeted are now making headlines. Joining us tonight on that.
The DUP councillor Ruth Patterson has been charged with sending a grossly offensive message when she replied to a fake news report on Facebook concerning next weekend's Republican parade in Castlederg. The DUP has criticised the police for the way in which they arrested Mrs. Patterson. Peter Gardwell reports.
Released after over 12 hours in police custody, the Belfast DUP councillor Ruth Patterson was greeted by supporters at around 10 last night.
Ruth, how are you?
Don't talk Mrs. Patterson was arrested by officers from the police's public order inquiry team yesterday.
جابر مجلي كما هو معلوم كان تم اعتقاله على خلفية نشر صورة على صفحته الشخصية بالفيسبوك اعتبرت أنها مسيئة للرسول وعلى ضوءها تم الحكم عليه بالسجن لمدة 7 سنوات ونصف.
A 20-year-old British man will spend 12 weeks in jail after he posted, quote, grossly offensive jokes on Facebook about 2 missing young girls. The BBC reports that Matthew Woods was arrested Saturday in Lancashire, in northwest England.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers, people who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Man, you know?
Like many Americans, I'm really concerned with the destruction of our privacy rights and our liberties. And, you know, we want to be safe, okay, but I think Benjamin Franklin was right. It's the quote popularly attributed to him that any society that will trade away a little bit of liberty in exchange for a little bit of security deserves neither and will lose both. And I feel like we are losing both.
It gives me hope when people are coming out, they're exposing the obvious, bringing attention to people, making it okay to tell the truth.
I'm here to oppose the NSA's mass surveillance of virtually everyone. I think it's against the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, and I think we should end it. People dismiss metadata as just data about data, but metadata can be used to figure out people's associations, and to me this is very much a freedom of speech issue, a First Amendment issue. You have freedom of association that is impinged when people are worried that they can't associate because their associations are known by the federal government and the NSA.
Well, what was just released was XKeyscore and Pinwhale, which are programs that allow any analyst to basically search and access anyone's information. It was referenced in Snowden's initial interview in Hong Kong, and so yeah, that's very frightening. With so little oversight and no warrants, it's extremely dangerous.
They're essentially taking every bit of information that has ever been logged on the internet, word for word, and storing it in their databases. So any email communication you've had, any text messages, anything like that, is just in a database somewhere and can be pulled up at any time.
A lot of people would say, well, I mean, I haven't done anything wrong, so I don't need to worry about that. But that's fine as long as the state decides you haven't done anything wrong. But when you haven't done anything wrong and for whatever reason they decide to persecute you, you're toast. You have absolutely no right. If this doesn't count anymore, right? If the right to be secure in our persons, our papers, our houses does not apply, then this is not the United States of America.
I mean, they're going to say that they're not spying, but they're going to keep spying even when they tell you they're not going to spy because we live in a fascist country. This is fascism, fast forward. You have no rights. Your Bill of Rights and your Constitution is not worth the paper it's written on. I mean, let's stop kidding ourselves.
What would you like to see happen?
I would like to see a radical reduction in the amount of surveillance done on virtually everyone, and I would like to see people who lied in front of Congress brought in front of Congress for perjury, including Director of the National Intelligence James Clapper, who just in March said that we weren't collecting data on millions and millions of Americans, and it turns out that in fact they are collecting data on millions and millions of Americans.
I could have hung out at home today and, you know, watched TV and ate a sandwich and sat on my ass all day long, but, you know, I'm here, just like strength in numbers kind of idea, you know what I mean?
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is here. The revolution is here.